Hey guys, welcome back to my channel if you're a returning subscriber. If you are new here, my name is JC and I make plushie related videos. Typically I am out on plushie hunts or doing lots of plushie thrifting videos, but for this video I wanted to just sit here at home and kind of do something a little bit different. So I don't know if you guys heard, maybe you saw the short I posted, but TJ Maxx has these incredible like Jellycat dupes. They're kind of like an off-brand looking Bashful Bunny, and the brand is called Snug. They're only $7, so that's a pretty incredible price for something that looks almost identical to a Jellycat. But I thought it would be fun for us to compare this with an actual Jellycat bunny and kind of see what the quality differences are and if it's worth picking this one up for $7. I'm also, before we even get into the comparison, I'm going to show you all the other Snug brand plushies that my TJ Maxx was carrying. So let's get into that footage right here. So here is the lineup. As you can see, they are all pretty much like the medium size Bashful Jellycats, and they were all $6.99. They had a couple different bunnies. They had this light pink one, and I actually already purchased this one on a different day. If you saw my YouTube short, you saw the one that I got. And then they had this one, which was a little bit of a deeper pink, almost more of like a rose, dusty rose color. And then there was like this light gray elephant, super cute. I was super tempted by this one, but I did end up leaving it behind. They also had this pink elephant, so same style, just a different color. And then they had this little teddy bear, which was so cute, more of like a curly-ish fur. Kind of reminded me of a Mary Meyer. And then they had this little like teal, I almost said blue, but it's more of like a teal colored whale, which is super cute. Okay, so here I have both of the bunnies for side by side. As you can see right off the bat, the Snug brand, he's kind of pointed up a little bit more, like with his head, whereas the Jellycat is pointed down a little bit more, just kind of with how the neck is positioned or how stuffed it is. I know there's like a variation in the Jellycat, so it could just be mine that's a little bit more of like a downward pointing face, but that's what I noticed right off the bat. They do look really cute together with the pink and the purple, but they do both have the floral ears, as you can see there, and they're very similar. I mean, in terms of size, pretty much exactly the same size. Here's the back, and I do notice like it almost looks like the tail is a bit bigger and bushier on the Snug brand. This one's a little bit smaller. This one's more like padded to me. This one's not as much. But here's what they look like from the back. So cute, so floppy. Okay, so now let's break it down kind of more thing by thing, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm going to start with like the texture of the fur. So let me see here. Okay, so the Jellycats, as you know, are super soft, super like buttery. And I would say that the Snug brand is almost just as soft, like not quite as soft as the Jellycat. This is like velvety soft. This is soft, but it almost feels like a little bit downgraded of a quality of fur, but it's so close. I mean, it's so close that I can barely notice it. But yeah, I would say the fur, let me feel the back here. Yeah, the fur on an actual Jellycat is just a bit softer. This is soft, but it just feels like I said, a little bit lesser quality. The tail fur feels almost exactly the same to me. And looking at like the fabric that their ears have, the floral print, again, this is a little bit of a softer fabric. This is a little bit more like coarse, but it's very close. Like you can almost barely notice the difference. The flowers are a lot more colorful on the regular Jellycat. I mean, I'm sure that's just a fabric choice. This is a bit more of like muted peachy colors on the Snug brand. But yeah, I do prefer the Jellycat ears versus these. And you can see this is a little bit more wrinkly, where you don't really get that on this Jellycat. I mean, it could just be I've had this one longer. Any wrinkles have been worn in. I don't know. But yeah. Their faces are very close, I would say. Looking at the noses, the fabric looks a little bit different. Like, let's see if I can even get this on camera here. This is what the Jellycat nose looks like. And this is the, oh, get my hair out of there. This is what the Snug one looks like. It looks like slightly less quality, but like very, very close. I mean, you have to look very closely to even notice. It might not even pick it up on the camera. And I mean, it's gonna vary as far as like my Jellycat, his nose is a little bit more hidden by the fur, whereas this one is more like prominent. But the eyes look exactly the same to me. It looks like the exact same eyeball is used on both. This one's fur is hiding its eyes a little bit more, but... And as far as face shape, yeah, they're very close. I really like the more triangle-faced bunnies. I know some people like the more like round, smushed face, but I always try to pick out the most triangle ones. So I was super attracted to this one because it's such a nice shape, a nice triangle shape in my opinion. But they do look very similar. And I would say they're both stuffed to the same degree. Now I do notice a difference in the arms. So for the regular Jellycat, there is very little stuffing in like the tops of the arms. There's like none, no stuffing here. So it's very thin up here. And I mean, even down towards the hand, it's kind of thin on the arms. Whereas with the Snug, definitely more stuffed in the arms. I mean, still not like crazy, but there is definitely more stuffing up here and more stuffing even down towards the hands, I would say. So it's got a little bit more bulk here, which I do like that better on the Snug. I don't like when the Jellycat Bashfuls are like so weak in the arms. That's not my favorite. As far as the legs go, let's look at the dangle here. They're both very cute and floppy. We have the same fabric print as what you saw on the ears. And I do think like the shape of the bottom of the feet on the regular Jellycat is a bit nicer. This just looks more like sloppy to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think this doesn't look as nice. It's not as like perfectly oval. See the difference there? But stuffing wise, I think that the regular Jellycat has much more stuffing and like beads in the feet, whereas this is more like there's just not as much in there. But it does feel like the same type of bead is in both feet. But yeah, I would say this is a little more floppy, a little bit more less stuffing in the feet. Even looking at their feet shape from this angle, I just think the Jellycat looks nicer. This just looks, I don't know, more messy. Like, look how you can kind of see the seam here. Don't love that. This foot's better. So overall, I think the quality is not quite as good with the Snug versus an actual Jellycat. And I mean, the price points are totally different. This is like 28 to 30, somewhere around that price range for these like Bashful Blossom Bunnies. And this was $7. So I think with that type of price gap, you are getting something almost up to speed, like almost up to par with a Jellycat, which is really cool. I mean, you know that Jellycat is definitely charging more because they have the name, the loyalty, the fan base, so they can definitely get away with charging a lot more. But if you don't want to spend 30 bucks, I would totally recommend going to TJ Maxx and seeing what they have for these little Jellycat knockoffs. I'm very impressed. I really like them. I think they're adorable. I already bought one. I bought the light pink one. Go take a look at my YouTube shorts if you want to see me acquiring that one. That was a fun little video. And yeah, I'm super happy that we are getting a cheaper alternative for people that maybe don't have Jellycat stores around them or can't spend the money on an actual Jellycat. It's really tough to find these thrifted, I'll say that. But yeah. Oh, you know how I said when I was showing you the TJ Maxx footage that I almost bought that gray elephant? I came so close to buying it, but something in me was just like, $7, like, I don't know if I like it enough for $7. I'm a thrifter, so I like getting things for like dirt cheap. But guess what? That was yesterday. Today, I went to Goodwill right when they opened, and I'll show you what I found. I found this! An actual Jellycat elephant. And he's like this pretty like white color, and he's almost a little bit smaller. I mean, look at his body size compared to this bunny. Like, he's a little smaller than a medium size, but he's obviously bigger than a small size Bashful. So I don't even know like what his official name is. If any of you out there watching this know what exact Jellycat this is, or like what year he came out, let me know, because I'm dying to know. I could barely find any online. I found like one or two that were sold on eBay, but they didn't have their official tag or name or anything. He's like super well stuffed. He's like thick in the belly. But I thought that was so cool that I almost bought the dupe, and then I find like a real one at the Goodwill for $2. He was $2. I couldn't believe it. And I haven't found a Jellycat since like the end of January, so it's been a few months since I've thrifted a nice Jellycat. So that was a fun little surprise. But yeah, let me know if you've picked up any of the Snug brand Jellycat dupes from TJ Maxx. Which ones did you get? Which ones are your favorite? But yeah, let me know your thoughts and let's chat down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!